Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're live once again on the Pakistan EdTech Summit. You had a wonderful talk by Dr. Frank Harper on world-class education beyond borders. But here's another interesting take. When we talk about EdTech, we cannot neglect the role that artificial intelligence is playing in the innovation, internationalization, and disruption of education and technology. Because artificial intelligence, especially post fourth industrial revolution, is going to be a key game changer. And which is why we've engaged some international speakers and for this particular panel on artificial intelligence, AI, and the impact that it can have on real life business transformation and edtech. For the purpose of this session, Mr. Zof Khan, who's the CEO of Beyond Technology Middle East and Africa region, is going to be moderating the session. Zof, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Anza. Really appreciate all the great work CXO Global Forum is doing. I've been listening to the last 2 days of all the panels, not everyone, but a lot of them. And I've been really impressed by the panel, the debates that have gone on, and the way this whole summit has been conducted. So hats off to everybody within the CXO Global Forum, and look forward to the session next year as well. So as Anza mentioned, we really have an international team. We've got Anurag from California. Anurag, thank you very much for joining. It's 7:30 in the morning there. I hope you've had your coffee. William from Miami in the USA, who'll be talking about an educational user case. And Shoaib Qureshi, who's just joined us recently, a couple of months ago, at Beyond Technology, and is our country manager for South Asia. So with that said, let me start with a little bit of introduction of the people. I'll leave Anurag for last. He's our special speaker, I would say. So he needs he almost needs 30 minutes for an introduction, to be honest with you, but we'll do our best towards the end of the session. So let me start with William Rodriguez, country manager for Beyond Technology in the USA. He comes from a great set of companies, heavily involved in the services business, but also in sales. He drove Nortel sales in a few years, 2x, and did a phenomenal job. And he's also set up a center of excellence for Juniper Networks in the Americas. I think everybody knows Juniper Networks are one of the leaders in data networking, switching, routing, security, and to have set up a center of excellence for them in such a wide region really speaks, loud on the quality of William. We also have Shoaib Qureshi, our country manager, who also is a veteran with 20 plus years in the industry and working with some great organizations like TeleGlobe, Cable and Wireless, and recently with Within Telecom as their vice president. His subject areas of expertise are in submarine cables and data networks, and he also is quite well known as an industry speaker within Pakistan and the South Asia region. Myself, Zulfikar Khan, nicknamed Zof. I've graduated from the UK and also studied at Wharton. I've worked for a number of organizations and been in the leadership team, I would say, that have helped grow those organizations into billion-dollar units. And claim to fame is with the EMS Mobile, was a BlackBerry partner, and we grew to 20% of their global business in 65 countries and 104 operators. Which brings me to our star guest today, Anurag from Silicon Valley in California. He's an inventor, scientist, and currently the CEO at Monet, the partner to Beyond Technology. He's got a PhD, electrical engineering, a Masters of Science from Princeton. He sold his last company for $550 million to Intel as a co-founder. So he didn't keep all the money, but if you want lunch, Anurag's the guy to go to. He'll definitely be able to buy you it. And he was heavily involved with in a role with the ITU in developing the MP format, which we all currently use up to today and has not really changed very much. So, but however, I mean, actually, what Anurag is most proud of is that he's was #1 throughout India, all state exams in a number of subject areas, and scored 150 out of 150 in mathematics. So Anurag, what I can say is you definitely did a lot better than what I did with my studies in the UK. Yeah, I think the only trophy not in your cabinet is probably the ICC Champions Trophy that Pakistan currently holds. So, but you got pretty much everything else. So I think this is a great chart that's recently come out from Gartner, who are great industry analysts, as everybody knows. And it really, on two axes, points out how AI is being used in decision-making today. And really depends on the bottom axis on the scale of being simple to complicated to chaotic, and another axis on how quickly decisions need to be made. And based on that, AI can be used to automate decisions fully, augment decisions, meaning that you can have a number of options ahead of you, and you can choose which one as a human being on which one you want to select, and giving all the information and analytics behind it. Or it can give you information and analytics to support your decision if the decision requires a lot of complexity, is chaotic, and also requires time. I think it's a great summary, and it's really amplified in the last 2 days' discussion. So our topic today is about AI being used in the real world, and as a company like Beyond Technology that is involved in digital transformation, how we work with Monet on a number of areas. The first area is in marketing. Marketing, as everyone knows, is one of the biggest TAM markets in any vertical. Around $500 billion is spent on marketing each year, and it's growing. So we'll be looking at that. That really hasn't changed very much. So how is AI being used to really improve results, or ROI on your marketing spend and your insights when you're making all these investments? The second user case is going to be in education. As we all know, with COVID-19, we've had situations when there's so much dependence on online teaching and even exams and invigilation that's required and proctoring. So how can AI play a role there as well? Well, Monet's been working in these areas, in both these areas. So we'll have a great chance to learn about the practical uses of AI. So I'm going to pass the floor to Anurag in a second. But Anurag, if it's okay, I'll play a short video on Monet.
Sure.
Okay?
Thank you, Zob. Yeah.
Okay, great. Just make sure we're okay. I'm sharing sound.
The world of data coming at us is growing at blinding speed. Beneath it all is a human face, filled with guiding signals left unread. We survey people's thoughts, track their behaviors, but their unspoken emotions drive what they watch, what they buy, even who they vote for. Enter Monet, the first AI-powered analytics platform to capture and contextualize subconscious human emotions at scale. This humanized data platform decodes the gap between what people say and what they really feel. Optimized performance of any content for any audience, anywhere in the world. Long-form pilots, trailers, teasers, brand ads, even candidate messaging.
In the fight to fix it in America.
Not more faceless metrics or old-school dial testing. Monet analytics are centered around your content, making it easy to use, instantly actionable. Just load your content, choose your audience, and go. Get results within hours, including frame-by-frame guidance for real-time editing decisions.
I think they've figured out the future of consumer understanding. I've been running major campaigns for 30 years, but this new Monet technology is special. It gives you a whole nother level of insight.
Get below the surface. It's time to see the whole picture. Monet.
So thank you, Zoff. So I think, first of all, thank you for the kind introduction, and thank you, everybody, for having me here. So I think, so as Zoff mentioned, and as you saw in this video, there are a couple of things which drew me into doing what we are doing at Monet. I think the first thing was that a few years back, I think one of the things that was happening was we as individuals, our lives revolved around interacting with our devices. And I think one of the key kind of drawing force for me was that what if we are able to capture movement-based interactions that we as individuals do with our phone or with any device that we interact with. I think capturing that non-verbal cue interactions of humans with devices or humans with each other, and contextualizing that interaction basically has a lot of useful information that could be used in many different things that people do on a day-to-day basis. So that drew me to kind of creating what we have created in Monet. And the underlying foundation of that is, first of all, mapping sentimental states of people based on how they're expressing themselves. So it's a technology called as affective computing, starting with A. And what it does is it basically captures facial expressions and maps it to a particular emotion a person may be displaying. And what over the last few years, what we have done is we have basically taken that concept and basically built a platform that does capture of subconscious human emotional reaction at scale. And also at the same time, it contextualizes it based on a specific use case. And I think one of the things we are doing is we are basically applying it to a couple of use cases that Zoff mentioned. And before I go there, I think one of the things that Zoff pointed out in that Gartner chart is very important, because our journey has been somewhat driven by those two dimensions. So in that Gartner chart, if you remember, what you saw was towards the very right and in the x-axis, you had very complex decisions that needed to be made. And on the y-axis, you are actually seeing the time it takes to make those decisions. So a couple of use cases that we will describe. The first use case, the marketing use case, lies somewhere in between, in the middle, where basically the complexity is large, but it takes some time for us to give decisions. The time could be few minutes. In some cases, it could be few hours, because we are kind of processing a lot of information. But essentially, and then the second use case is what William will also talk about. It basically requires making immediate decisions based on sentiment or emotional states of people. And an example could be like a person taking a test. Is he or she basically feeling anxiety, or would she or he do a wrong thing? So in this world of pandemic where most of the tests are gone online, how do you figure out whether that person is going to do an anomalous event, or basically go towards taking help from others? So can AI detect the sentiment and tell a proctor to basically intervene? And that has to happen within seconds. So both spectrums, giving high-end enterprises basically a way to make decisions on how their corporate messages should should look like. That takes time. That may take a few hours for us to do. But on the second end, second spectrum, like giving immediate, in a per second basis, an educational provider some quick decisions that can help them administer a test in real time. So those are the two different use cases that we do. So the way we do it is using a platform that we have built, which captures emotions of people at scale. We have basically collected data from all over the world, and it gets better over time. So it's AI powered. The fact that we have basically encountered several use cases. So over time, we have built how do the data that we collect about emotions of people, how does it affect KPIs of a particular business use case? And that kind of uses the AI to predict whether a certain behavior or certain action will lead to what kind of outcome. So that's why it's highly predictive. And finally, that axis that we saw in the Gartner chart, it's very, very important for any business, because if you can't make decisions at the speed which the business wants to travel, it's not very, very beneficial for the business. So at the same time, do it as fast as possible. And I think, so the first use case that we are going to describe in the next few slides, we are basically doing this, meeting all these three attributes of the platform that we have built. So going to the next slide, I think I'll describe how we do it in a particular use case. And this use case is where we first started applying Monet technology with. Being in California, close to Hollywood, we actually got introduced to some of the top storytellers in the world. So these are Hollywood studios or TV networks or streaming platforms. So NBC Universal, CBS Viacom, or Netflix or Amazon. So they have two main issues. So they are creating high stakes content. So when they create a $300 million movie for, say, a Disney franchise, you want to make sure that you start awareness of the movie 18 months prior. So, and by that time, the movie has not been created, but what do you create so that you can test the pulse of the market, so that you can generate the right interest? So how do you test promotion for a content that you are going to make? So that's one use case that we basically applied our platform with. And what we do is we basically take a piece of content and we can deploy it anywhere in the world. So we can deploy a new movie trailer in 8 different countries, and we can have people watch it. And as they watch it, we can actually look at how they are behaving. What are the subconscious cues as they are watching this content in an unobtrusive manner? We look at frame by frame emotional response of, say, 500 people in each country. We look at where they are looking, how they are behaving, and so on. And then we can also ask traditional pre and post survey questions, and also let them, in a second exposure, immerse themselves in the content to get their reactions. At the end of it, what we are doing is, at scale, we are collecting emotions of the people as they are getting immersed in the stimuli. And then we are able to build a data science to give an overall score of how the content performed. So if it was a comedy genre trailer, we can tell how did it perform according to our metrics in terms of what was its overall performance. So if the score comes high, we know that the content is connecting well with the audience it was targeted to. If it comes low, then we can start unpacking the lower level metrics that we have in our system and say that, okay, on these particular frames, we saw emotional disengagement of a specific cohort, which could be, say, young females in Australia or young females in Mexico are not responding well to this kind of thing. And why do they respond well? We can then start correlating with what they are saying on the surveys or or the annotations that they have done on the second exposure. So we get a lot of detailed information in the platform, and in a sense, we can give our clients clear indication of why a content performs well, what is the goodness of it, and what could be done to correct it. So in this slide, we are kind of outlining several use cases of this technology in the marketing use case. The first one is helping an automotive brand decide what kind of 6-second or 30-second ads they should be deploying, and which demographics, which ads are connecting with. So that's one particular use case which comes time and again for any corporates or any kind of brand which is trying to launch anywhere in the world. The second use case is a much more higher stake use case. So when NBC Universal is greenlighting a new TV series, which of the 4 different series they should pick so that their next season is going to be successful. So we can actually test the whole 60 to 70-minute pilots in front of hundreds of people within 4 to 6 hours and give them frame by frame emotional journey of what connected well with which kind of audience. So it basically is replacing qualitative focus group of 6 to 10 people that they would do in a regular real screening, which is very, very expensive. So we are using AI and data science that we have built to give creative insights to editors and directors to kind of see which characters are connecting well, what are the friction points in the storyline. The third is a much more complex use case. So as we know, like there are a lot of ad-supported video on demand services all over the world. In US, we are going through a large transformation where streaming platforms and AVOD services are coming. Every month, we have one more service. We have like HBO Max, which is now going to be supporting ads. We have Hulu, which has been doing for several years. We have Paramount Plus, which is coming. So how do you, in this new world, how do you know where you should be placing ads and which kind of ad should be placed with which kind of content, and what is the positioning of ads or multiple ads, which are called as ad pods, have effect on better engagement and better emotional connect with the audience. So our platform can be used to measure these ups and downs of emotional engagement within an AVOD service. This is a very unique offering that some of our clients are using it. And finally, one of the things that you saw in the video, we actually used this platform to test political messages in front of actual voter base in the 2020 US election. So a lot of money is spent in elections worldwide. So what if I'm creating an election, a message for my candidate, can I push it in a targeted manner to the people who are going to be potential voters and get quick read on which message is connecting, which message is not connecting, how to amplify certain things in front of the voter base so that I can change their attitudes and behaviors towards voting. So we actually did a lot of work in 2020 presidential cycle. We were also starting to do some of this in the Southeast Asia, in particular India. So we've actually done some case studies in India as well. And this is a use case which can scale worldwide because we can actually go do these tests on mobile where we can actually gather these emotional reactions for political messages. And obviously, we also have a lot of implications. I know this is an educational technology panel. So we are actually exploring similar video content test use cases. So if suppose you are a Khan Academy, so if Sal Khan is creating videos for his platform, how does he know that one video is better than others? So if you can target it to people and do the same kind of things for those, I think that can be used in educational video analysis as well. So I'll stop here, maybe Zaf, and this is a good segue maybe to go to the next topic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Anurag, thank you very much. And I can see why you passed your exams as well. So William, if I can maybe pass the floor to you, because as Beyond Technology in the USA, you had a customer in education with all the COVID situation and the emphasis that was going on with online teaching. Would you like to maybe introduce a little bit about what happened and what the pain points were, and between you and Anurag, how you collaborated to find a solution in that space?
Sure. Thanks. First, thanks, Saf, for the introduction, and also for the CXO Global Forum for the invitation. Really appreciate the time. As you can see here on Anurag's description, this is a very powerful platform that uses AI as a basis. We have been in conversation not only with one, but about 2 or 3 major educational providers that they are more focused on delivering training, and also what in the industry is called proctoring, which is basically monitoring online testing. In that, those platforms are, have been on the market for several years. They're well known. The challenge that they were facing at the time with the COVID pandemic, the business grew tenfold. It was amazing. In a matter of months, many educational companies, trainings, and also university and colleges had no choice to go online. But the challenge is, as we know, many of us have taken online tests, online courses. The challenge is when you're getting into trying to find ways to improve your content, your delivery methods, the challenge of knowing how your participant, your students are really reacting or are absorbing the content is very challenging, because there's no way. Typically, online education is a one way. So you deliver the message, you start testing, teaching, and typically you get feedback when you send surveys out and people respond, which we know in many occasions people don't, the participants don't respond, or respond to a different level, depending how they feel at that point of time. So there's many challenges that these companies were facing, and they wanted to add some way, a vehicle to get them additional feedback in real time, right? So while the testing is happening, while the course is being delivering, the interaction, right? So it can help improve their content. It help also their trainers to become more effective. We have one of the issues that we found here in the US, and it happens around the world as well, that it's not the same thing teaching in a classroom where you have interaction face to face with your students. You see how they react to whatever you are delivering. It's not the same thing on an online situation. Mainly, you're talking, you're delivering webinar, but you're not seeing that reaction. So using Monet technology to read people's emotions, sentiment, allow this company to start getting more data, more analytic data, in order to make quick decisions, make faster decision on time. It could be real time, or it could be after the fact, because we have a method to record those emotions and then provide the reports associated. So that's the latest conversation that we have with one of the major providers doing proctoring, is they want to integrate, they would like to integrate these solutions into their service. Why? Well, there's mainly 2 things, right? There's a lot of companies going into online. They're delivering a lot of training online, but they really don't know exactly how the participants, as I mentioned, are reacting. So they want to find a way to create better content, improve engagement, so they can have a better service, better customer or participant experience, and also create a stickiness. You want those students or participants to come back to you, right? So when you have multiple companies providing these type of services, you want to find a way to differentiate yourself from the pack, right? And AI allow you to do that. So in addition to providing a good service, you also have integrity. Not the same thing when you go to the classroom and have, basically those type of tests, they require to be by yourself. There's nobody around. There's nothing that you can actually, in a market, it's called cheating. So, when you go to online, it's very hard to do so, right? So this system allows you also to improve the integrity of the test, which also protect the educational colleges and university, so they can ensure when they give you a certificate, you actually passed the test, and it was on your own and not having additional outside influence. So it's
Thank you, William.
So that's in a nutshell what we have seen on our market on the educational using Monet technology.
Great. Thank you very much, William. And that's a great overview of the problem that was presented. And then we obviously work very closely with Monet on coming up with a solution across all those areas. I think we covered a lot of ground, and that's why I was moving across with the slides and just taking into consideration with time. Anurag, maybe you want to mention a little bit about the end product that came out, maybe.
Yeah. So I think so as William described, so the opportunity came to us, there was a clear need in market which was being amplified, in particular in last 12 to 16 months, which we have gone through. I think the education was flipped on its head. The whole pedagogy was flipped on its head because nobody was ready for taking online education in a serious manner before COVID. So when COVID happened, as William said, monitoring people while taking tests is one, but even remote schools in India, Pakistan, everywhere else, they had to go to an online education. So one of the key things was that the teachers were not ready to take this jump. That the students were not ready to kind of consume content, and have this what is called a Zoom fatigue. So how does the teacher know the students are engaged or not? So that was a big opportunity that came to us. So there's a good folklore in the startup world that if you give an entrepreneur a lemon, they will make a lemonade. So that's what happened with us. So we were seeing an opportunity. And so we wanted to see how we can use facial AI to kind of give us cues which can be used in improving the delivery of online education. So we built a platform, which again, if you remember the very first chart that Zoff showed about Gartner, now we are coming from very large, long time decisions to very fast decisions on a per second basis. So if you imagine you're engaged in a Zoom call or in a conferencing situation where an educator or a teacher is delivering a class to 40 students for a 60-minute class to 40 students. So how do you tell the teacher which students are more engaged than others? So if you have a system which in real time can give you cues, which in the left-hand side can give you cues or scores of which students are engaged, you can ping them. Or if you can provide an ability to a moderator or a teaching assistant to see what's happening in the class, where the student engagement is going down, maybe they can intervene in real time to ping individual students in a chat that, are you not understanding this? So giving that real-time metrics to kind of improve the real-time, online educational delivery, that's one aspect. The second aspect is, today in the educational system, we believe that certain things should be taught in certain way. If you're teaching calculus or if you're teaching, say, history or geography, you should go and teach in a specific way. And why is it that certain teachers are better teachers than others? So today what happens in universities and in even probably in high schools also, you get teacher evaluation at the end of the semester where you tell whether a teacher performed well or not. But what if we can measure from one class to the other, we can measure engagements on different delivery of the same content by different teachers. We can actually tell why is one teacher delivering better engagement than the other teacher. So this can actually be used in creating new methods or new modes of pedagogy. Like what are the best practices of teaching, say, differential calculus to a 10th grade class? Who are the people who are connecting best? Can you detect friction points in the students' comprehension based on reports that we generate after end of each class? And from a student perspective, can I give reports to the students to kind of see like where they actually had difficulty in understanding certain concepts? So they can actually get peer comparisons, so they can get reports for themselves to improve better. So we can build analytics on the person who's delivering the content, the teacher. That analytics could go to the teacher to improve his next class or his overall delivery and see which students didn't engage. We can also build analytics for students, which could also be given to the school so that they can take interventions from class to class with the eventual goal of improving the learning outcome. So you can actually see now that how can we use these real-time interventions as well as the data that we are generating and using AI to deliver better pedagogy, better learning outcomes. So that's where I think we are going, and I think that's in a summary what we are trying to do with this platform.
Yeah, and what I would also say is I think that was a great pivot and great work done by the development team with the need of the hour in pivoting one application that Monet was doing in the marketing sphere and then applying similar models and algorithms that you had and into a new sphere. So it's been great partnering with you, Anurag, and thank you very much for your contribution today.
Thank you.
Shoaib,
Thank
if
you,
you want to go off mute, I wanted to ask you, but I put one question on social media. How ready is Pakistan for the use of AI within the market?
Thank you so much, Zoff. Thank you, CXO Global Forum, for such an opportunity, and I'm very happy to be part of such an amazing team. Yes, Pakistan, when it comes to the Pakistan stage, Pakistan, I believe, is one of the most fastly growing country where you see digital adaptability and acceptability all across the level of the players. You see telecom sector, you see financial sector, or there is one way of growing and achieving a higher number of growth is only getting digital. You cannot achieve a higher percentage of growth if you cannot do things digital. So we have seen, for example, we do at Beyond Technology, we sell all these things, Juniper and all those things, and we combine layers and physical layers, then we have clouds and all. But everything at the end of the day has to become a solid product which actually can bring certainty to the digital transformation. Because what happens is, for an example that I give you an example, there are a couple of examples can be given, but since we are focusing more on the education sector, and very rightly said by Anurag and William, that this is going to fill in the gaps that we see between the monitoring from the school side and the quality which students are looking from their side. Because if you cannot monitor 30 people, 30 students or 20 students at the same time by being online, so there has to be someone doing the job. So AI and Monet is going to do your job, collect the data, make you connect, realize, apply, and actually get the feedback. So I totally believe there is a lot of value. And the similar thing is for the banking industry. If you see, if you explore the Pakistan banking industry, it's all geared up. We are talking branchless banking, we're talking branchless assets. I believe the properties in coming times are going to convert into intellectual properties only, where people are going to go and come do intellectual things. But practically what stops and what fears any industry like banks or anywhere to become digital is not the digital or banking itself. Banking itself is fully digitalized. It's all good. It's all about the fear of losing customer, because when you do not interact, you lose a contact between the customer and yourself, and you don't know how to engage the customer retention. So I believe that every industry, it's an amazing opportunity for the telcos, service providers, to bundle it, go back into the market where they go and sell, for an example, a simpler connectivity, educational platforms. And I've been watching this summit. There've been so much amazing things being exhibited and shared on this platform. Everything is there. All we need to add the certainty, and AI is going to add everything which you're doing and make your use case as a certain case where you are doing an investment.
Yeah,
So
great.
thank you.
Thank you very much, Ed. I think if I can just wrap up and try and summarize the last kind of 30, 35 minutes into a few sentences. I think what's very, very clear is that AI is very, very powerful. And if the right platform is used, and in the most traditional and the largest TAM areas like marketing, and potentially revolutionize it in the way that you can ensure a greater return on your investment. And sometimes you only get that one chance as well, never mind return on investment. So, it's real, it's so powerful, it can revolutionize. Digital transformation is here today. And AI is so powerful that even if there's a new situation that arises, like we've seen with the proliferation of online teaching, again, AI can quickly adapt, as Monet have done, and applied their algorithms to the new business opportunity or the new model. So with that, that's really a wrap from the panel. Thank you very much to everybody that's been on it, and to everybody that's listened. It's been a pleasure being part of it. Anza, I'll give the floor back to you.
Right. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Zof, and the rest of the team, Anurag, William, Shoaib. This has been, an eye-opener for all of us. The possibilities that Monet's AI-powered humanized data-centric approach brings forward. I'm looking at the future already, gentlemen. But I do also have a question from some of the comments that we were getting from the audiences, and a bit of a personal intervention here as well. Now, we are living in a post-truth era, and we know that thought leaders like Elon Musk as well are making comments these days that include that AI is more dangerous than nukes, and that in itself has really inculcated this element of fear in the minds of most. And I don't just mean developing economies, but throughout the world, and especially when we talk about areas like edtech and education in particular, online learning, especially for students who are younger than 18 or 21. Obviously, it does raise a lot of questions in the minds of parents in particular as well. How can we build the right kind of narrative? Because I know the technology is here to stay. I know that data is the new oil and gold. I also understand the potential that technology like this has. But since you people are thought leaders in your own right and sitting in this very influential position, how can we orchestrate and narrate, build a counter narrative for the points that are raised here?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think so. That's a good question, and so I think so. We actually take privacy and basically abuse of AI very seriously, because when we work with clients, on the one hand, even when we look at, say, content of clients like NBC Universal or Disney, whoever we work with, we have to protect their data, and also the data that we are showing it to them. So there are a lot of privacy laws like GDPR and like basically making sure that whatever data we are collecting, it's first of all anonymized, and we are not really taking their facial cues or going it there. So we do the data protection in a way that enterprise security needs. That's one thing. The second thing is that there are other issues which are happening through facial recognition. You may have heard, like certain races and ethnicities, the facial models that people use, we create biases. So we are actually working very, very strongly in basically reducing those ethnicity and racial biases, so that you're not saying that somebody is disengaged just because their skin color looks brown, like what we are versus Caucasians, because most of these models are based on Caucasian models. So the fact that we work worldwide, the fact that we are working with students, basically clients all over the world, helps us collect data so that we can remove some of these biases. So that's one thing. The second thing is a much bigger question, right? Should we use technology or shall we not use technology? So that's a question for basically, you have to balance it, right? So when you look at villages in India and Pakistan, where what pandemic has opened us is that if you give this technology, we can reach to billions of people who didn't have education ability till 1 year back. So it's a bigger question,
Anurag,
right?
sorry, I'm going to just add to that question so you can give us a more holistic view. So speaking of villages in India or Pakistan or other parts of South Asia or Africa, there's still a very big area where we have a digital divide. There's digital inequality, there's internet inequality. In most areas, we don't have enough bandwidth or even devices like a personal computer. So can the solution be deployed via mobile phones or maybe low cost-effective solutions?
Yeah. So I have my 86-year-old dad. So he was a professor of physics. And so after he retired, he's actually running an NGO in villages in Uttaranchal, which is like Himalayan region. So they distribute these small iPads with some data in them. When you give that iPad to these kids who don't know anything about technology, within 2 months, they're actually knowing more than their teachers. And these are like 6-7-year-old kids. So, I mean, that's the way we have to look at it, because we have 8 billion people in the world. Only 1 billion have access to education. So can we change that model? Can we use technologies like this? And obviously, we should be serious on protecting data and doing all the right things we can do. There will be some abuse, but the opportunity of not, basically, the cost of not doing that is much higher, because you can change the world. You can make those 1 billion people more productive. You can change their lives. You can change the next generation. So that's how we should look at.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for your time.
If you allow, Anza, I would like to add what Anurag just said to your question, that you just mentioned that how do you see the bandwidth and all those areas. Pakistan has done an amazing job. If you look at the role of our organizations like Universal Services Fund, the way they have tried to expand to the rural areas of Pakistan, and their whole motive to spend billions of rupees is to actually take the internet broadband telephony to these all the rural areas where the reach is very difficult. Any products such like Monet, in having an expertise and mastery over the AI and all, this will actually ensure that whoever institute, either it's a cellular who is trying to put up a 4G site or 5G site in coming times, or it's a USF trying to put up and planning areas for the next year growth, they are putting a lot of effort, they're putting a lot of money. So they have to actually gauge the scale yards that whatever they have delivered, at the content of education delivered has actually got back them the actual feedback. There is been engagement, because everything digital can improvise and can do, But the only thing which this part is adding up is actually the engagement, which actually digital is always trying to make the product complete. So I hope I answered your bandwidth
Right,
thing.
you did. Thank you very much. And I do see the utility of Monet in measuring the impact of such projects as well. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. It has been a learning experience, to say the least, and we really appreciate your contribution.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us. Thank you for the platform. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That was it from this session. If you want to learn more about the kind of work that Beyond Technology is doing, especially in the context of Monet, we've shared some links in the description below. And also, if you want to get in touch with any of these gentlemen, do write to us and we'll put you in touch with them. Thank you very much for watching. Please keep us updated with your comments and feedback. We've got a very interesting case study coming up next. Stay tuned.